yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, so what we got out first? Jamie's. We got Jameis Winston to New York, man. Oh, yeah. How you feel about that? Well, I tell you one thing. He's going to be entertaining for him. He also brings that leadership. Yeah. That's something else that's needed. Something that a team that doesn't really have too much going up in the winning column. Yeah. You got to have that leadership. And who knows? Jameis is one of those type of players. He can end up like helping you win a few games. Oh yeah, that's something you really can't take for granted. Oh yeah, and having a new head coach, new GM up in there. Yeah, coach is trying to keep their job. Yep. I say why not? For sure. 100%. Hey, and then another thing I was thinking about, Malik Neighbors. Oh, yeah. Malik Neighbors going to be getting the ball now. Oh, yeah. You ain't got to worry about him not necessarily having under 1,000 yards. He going to get 1,000 plus. He going to be up there with like Jamar Chase. Hey, if Jameis is throwing the ball, he's a gunslinger. If Jameis is throwing that ball, yeah, he going to have over 1,000. Yep. Yeah, you're right about that. I've been thinking about that. That's one thing people sleep on Jameis, man. And one thing I appreciate about him is he's going to throw that ball. He's going to air it out at a high clip. For real, okay? Now, you hope that he can kind of learn to strengthen that one little weakness that actually turns out to be very big, which is critical judgment in critical moments. Yeah. Just critical judgment in critical moments. It's just, I don't know what it is because you love to love him. Yeah, but it's like, we can't. I've been waiting on that Jameis Winston from Florida State. When they was in the national championship game and he found a way to win. Come on. I missed that Jameis Winston. I'm like, I've been waiting on him to just turn that switch on because he has championship DNA. He does. He has it. He knows it too. It's just that when can he crack the code? Now, made me think about how Sam Darnold had a breakout season. Right. Jameis Winston, who knows? Sometimes when you have nothing to lose, right, that may be your best season. Hey, you just never know. Right. Because he's like, hold on, I got a #1 receiver in Malik Neighbors now. That makes a big difference. Facts. I mean, shoot. Not necessarily saying that the team is just going to be outstandingly great, but who knows what they'll pick up with the first pick. Facts. Who's to say they won't pick up Travis Hunter to pair up with Malik Neighbors? Whoa. Travis Hunter may not even get to New England. Whoa. Who knows? But see, what you said, it leads us into the next point, right? So we talked about Jameis. Okay, that was a big splash this week going to New York. I agree with everything you said. I think that a guy like that, he's one season away, you know? And I think that's what the hesitation is when people wait and they're kind of making up their mind. They're probably chewing on, does he have that championship DNA still in there? And time will tell. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. I'm hopeful for the guy. I hope he he has some success. I liked what he did in Cleveland. I know it was a couple games, but I think as a backup to come in and make some excitement around that team and that offense, I think that doesn't need to get overlooked, right? All right, so now we're talking about that. We're talking about what New York might do with the pick. They brought in Russell Wilson. So now you're talking about that threw me off. You talk about flexibility with that top pick now. Because nobody really knew that the combination of Jameis and Russ, nobody really kind of anticipated that. Yeah. Two veterans, it kind of showed like it had a little success when you brought in those two guys over at the Steelers, right? So bringing in New York. But here's the question. To your point, you say Travis Hunter. Do you bring in Shedeur to New York with that veteran quarterback room? Do you like the leadership in that room?
do you think it'd be wise to bring a youngster in under those two veterans, under those two leaders, and learn two dynamic styles of leadership because they both have their styles and they're both dynamic styles. How effective they are, it is what it is, right? That's up to the person and to the audience. But they're both dynamic leadership styles. Do you think that that's a great thing or a hindrance in the quarterback room if you bring in a youngster?
I think it would be a hindrance.
Okay.
Not because of Jameis,
Right.
because of Russ.
Okay.
I feel like Jameis has accepted the role that if he needs to be a leader
Right.
in any way possible, he'll do that.
I agree.
Russ, I still feel like Russ sees himself as a starter.
Yeah.
He sees himself as a starter, so I feel like it may end up being the Justin Fields effect. Same thing that was in Pittsburgh. Justin Fields, I feel like him having a 4-game win streak as a quarterback,
Right.
I don't really know the locker room, but just from the outside looking in, it looks like as if Russ didn't let him just kind of do his thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I get it because you want to be the starter, but sometimes whenever a team
Right.
is hot, you got to let the person that's hot continue to keep doing what they're continue to keep doing what they're doing. But if they did pick up Shedeur, I think that one of those quarterbacks would probably have to move out the way, because Shedeur is the type where, you know, he has that Brady mentality where I feel like he can come in and he can be able to play right now.
Yeah.
And so that's just something where I feel like they're going to have to kind of give him the keys early, in my opinion.
I agree. And I also agree with Shedeur to New York. If you bring him in, if you continue to kind of go with what's speculated, if you bring him in, he's a guy that no matter where you bring him, I think he's going to get better with time. So he's one of these young quarterbacks that I think if you start him early and allow him to adjust and to do his own assessment and reassessment and growth strategy on how he gets better, I think it's going to yield benefits. Like, meaning the sooner you start that process, the better. I think the sooner you allow him to get acclimated to the game, make those adjustments, make those reads, right? I think the sooner you'll get to win it. I don't know if he's one of those guys that need to sit on the shelf for a while. And I think that's kind of what you're going to have in New York. If he goes out there, he might have to sit on the shelf. I think it's strategic. I think he has nothing to lose by sitting on the shelf. I think you sit him on the shelf, and maybe you allow him to see what you can do with Jameis and Russ, and say you got 2 years out of them, and you see what you can how much juice you can get out of the squeeze on these 2 years. Out of these two guys who show high potential, right? But also a little risky. But then you got your security blanket in Shedeur Sanders, right? Boom, he's there. You already know, locked in. So now you can have a little more freedom with those guys, see if they can produce wins. And then now you know that not only he's getting the experience, he's getting the tutelage, he's getting the leadership, he's also not getting a lot of the pressure, he's not getting banged up, he's not putting himself in harm's way to potentially get hurt. So I think you bring a young quarterback into that situation, whether it's Shedeur or another guy, I think that it's a win-win for them, because I think that at worst case scenario, you get to rest. You get to red shirt. And I think guys who had the opportunity to play through a red shirt and get to their senior year, they all thought, man, I'd be way better with a whole nother year with this knowledge. That red shirt really wasn't as beneficial now as it seemed like it was then. And so I think a lot of times taking that time to kind of wait and cook and marinate and grow, I think will show advantage. And I think that any quarterback in the position to have an option of not having to be thrown in the fire so soon, I think will benefit from that in the long run, right? Maybe immediately it might be an ego blow, like, okay, right? It's kind of like getting red shirt, like, all right. But in the long run, I think it's going to be an advantage. But Shedeur is also one of them guys where he, amongst others, just because I happen to just witness a level of resilience from some of them programs that we kind of wrote off. You know, Deion and Shedeur made us pay attention.
Yeah, dude.
Because of what they did when chips were not bet against them. It made you pay attention. Mm-hmm. And so with that, seeing that done on so many different platforms, I'm kind of like, it's hard to say, man. It wouldn't be exciting to see him go somewhere to where the quarterback room wasn't so crowded. He can get an opportunity to shine and maybe help a team, you know, get to the next level immediately. And then maybe it's more useful for that New York pick, go to a Travis Hunter, like you said. Man, I didn't think about that.
Sounds like I don't know, to me it sounds like a reasonable plan if they're trying to like be a little bit more consistent.
Yeah.
On offense, at least this year.
Right.
I feel like that would be a really good thing for them. But I mean, hey, Now I'm thinking like we're living in an era now where when I think about trying to get a quarterback to actually sit, unless you're in a situation like Kirk Cousins with Michael Penix Jr., you know what I mean? They picked up their dog. You know, they already got a dog they picked up in Bijan Robinson that can kind of control the pace of the game. That's a little bit different. But see, with the Giants, one thing that's up about the Giants actually have nothing. When I think about their offensive line,
come on, man.
Playmakers outside of Malik Neighbors,
what you got?
They really can't afford it, and I feel like the Giants taking 2 quarterbacks. I don't know. That's letting me see 2 things in my opinion.
What's that?
One, they're looking to tank to probably get an Arch Manning next year. Because you picked up 2 veterans that you know statistically they haven't really proven themselves in the last few years.
And it's low money. You didn't spend a lot of money.
Right. So you kept some money in the tank. 2, to your point, they haven't really spent any money on any type of key free agencies.
Yep.
That's another thing. So I'm looking at that. So you haven't spent any money, which means that you're leaving room open to possibly lose some games next year. But if you were smart, having 2 veteran quarterbacks on your team and a dynamic wide receiver, maybe you should go ahead and get a Travis Hunter if he's available. Maybe you should, because best case scenario, at least he can play on both sides of the ball. So now you got your starting corner or another starting receiver to go with Malik Neighbors. And so if you have that, now you can at least keep some people in the stands, because now you have a dynamic offense. That's the only thing I'm looking at. I was like, okay, you got a dynamic offense, 2 good wide receivers, 2 experienced quarterbacks. If one goes down, you can still keep some momentum. Their defense is not the best. I mean, that seems to be, honestly, the maximum profit they're going to get. If they get Shedeur, they get him 3rd pick, right? Let's say they do get him 3rd pick. He gets 3rd pick. You kind of bundling up a whole big quarterback room, and you're still not really going out and getting the pieces necessary that you need. Now, you got Shedeur. Get that. But is Jameson Russ going to be a distraction if Shedeur is actually the quarterback? That's the only thing that I worry about. So if you do have 2 experienced veterans like that, you might as well go ahead and give them a playmaker that can help them out. I don't know. It seems reasonable to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it makes sense. It's kind of tough now, man, because it throws everything into a frenzy, and I think that's where we're at. Everybody's trying to figure out this New York move. Like, all right, well, we thought we had it lined up, but okay. The monkey wrench. All right. Yeah.
Got to move around a little bit.
I mean, you got
swerve.
If you got Russ and you got Jameis, you can win some games, man.
You can.
You got Russ and Jameis, you can win some games. You can take the rest of that money. You can build a team if you're trying to win now. And I think maybe alternative perspective, we're seeing a coach who's saying, hey, man, I don't want to get fired, because these coaches are getting fired in the year 1 and 2. And we ain't got 3 years. I don't have time for a kid to develop. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, if you don't make it happen now, hey, they fire you after 2 years, Jack. Ain't no guarantee. It used to be you used to get a few of them, 5 of them, right? Now, you're 1, 2. It's a wrap. So, I mean, I think we're seeing a coach who's like, listen, we're going to take what's available to us right now, and we're going to put ourselves in the best position to potentially win some games. They got Malik Neighbors. They just extended Darius Slayton. So now you got another guy. 3 years. They just extended Darius Slayton. So now you got another guy. You got Wan'Dale Robinson, who's a certified slot. Wan'Dale Robinson played a little running back for him last year too. Yeah, Wan'Dale Robinson is a baller. And you got a pretty solid tight end. I forget who he is. They got a pretty solid tight end. So you got Malik Neighbors, you got Darius Slayton, you got Wan'Dale Robinson. Some receivers you got kind of already. Then you go get 2 veteran quarterbacks to sling that thing. Darius Slayton is a deep ball threat, is a deep field threat. Okay, once they figured that out about Cortland Sutton, that's when we saw him shine. Okay, so any quarterback that comes in there and actually slings it deep, Darius Slayton tends to shine. And we go, oh, who's that guy? right? So you got Jameis in there, you got Russ. You know they're gonna let that thing fly. I mean, I think the offense is primed maybe to win now. You got a nice young guy at running back who's like a dual tandem guy. He played a little receiver at one point in time, whether it was college or high school, and he's playing running back, so he's got sure hands. They use him all over the field, kind of like Saquon. Their backup ain't bad. I mean, they're not in a bad position to rebuild on that defense a little bit. You know, shoot. I mean, I don't know. But then we look at the number 1 and the 2 pick, and what do we say? I can see Cam going Titan. I can see Shedeur going Cleveland. I can see maybe Abdul Carter now maybe going New York. I can see, I mean.
And so that was another thing I was thinking about, because I ain't forget about Abdul Carter, because I was like, well, the reason why I was thinking of a Travis Hunter is because, okay, to your point, you talk about Slayton, you talk about Malik Neighbors, you talk about how they have a good running back.
Yeah.
Who's to say Travis Hunter is not that missing piece to be that winning now offense right now?
I think so.
With a couple of veteran quarterbacks, because to your point, they are firing coaches and GMs left and right within a year, 2 years, sometimes a half a season.
They ain't giving them no time, man.
So
you got to play around.
I feel like them getting 2 veteran quarterbacks is telling me we want job security before anything. I ain't got time to be moving my family, my children from their schools and all that kind of stuff. This is real life going on right now.
Real life.
So I'm going to go get 2 veteran quarterbacks.
And a dog.
And a dog. Yep. And so that dog may possibly end up being, to your point, Abdul Carter.
I like them odds, man.
Yeah.
I like those odds because it's not like they don't have another pick coming right behind it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're not in a bad position.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay, so now we talked about that. We had some shakeups this week, man. Okay, Russ went to the Giants. Jameis went to the Giants.
How about Stephon Diggs out there?
Stephon Diggs.
Now he's a New England Patriot, which is kind of very interesting.
Very interesting. I like the way he looks in that uniform, though.
Yeah,
I like the way he looks in that uniform.
Yep,
I really do. I like the fact of where he's at in his career. He's taken a little journey, which that sometimes is good for the ego. He's had a little injury. It's 50-50 on whether guys get truly back to form. They don't always happen like Saquon when they bounce fully back from injury, and they're like just where they were. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so we'll see. But I think it's a great gamble for New England. I think that it's a great way to show confidence in your quarterback because Drake May showed enough that he might be ready to take over that role full time. He doesn't really have a choice. I think they need him to. And I think you come in, you bring him a vet in there like a Stephon Diggs, a sure hand guy, a guy when you're in trouble, man, just get it over there. Yeah. A young guy needs that. And we see them shine when they have that. CJ Stroud knocked our socks off with his performance, but who do you have?
Yeah.
Who he got out there?
Yeah, Stephon out there too.
He has Stephon, but he has his main guy, tall, 6'4".
I know you're talking about, I just can't think of his name.
For Houston. Anyway, he had his guy.
Yeah.
Right? These guys who do really well in their first year generally have their guy. You know what I mean? You look at Jaden Daniels, he's got McLaurin, who was a leader in the locker room. So Drake May getting to Stephon Diggs, I think it helps him take a step. I think Stephon is going to be in a position where he's a premier guy. I think that'll be good for him because he's going to get targets. He's going to be utilized. He's going to have a voice in the locker room as a leader. They've committed to him for 3 years, so he doesn't have to be worried about, do they really want me here? He knows he needs to be there. He's coming in. He's going to be a veteran. He's going to have that leadership voice. I think it's a good spot for him.
Yeah, that's going to be good for him. Like you said, to the point of veteran leadership, that's something that's going to be very, very important to have. Because every young quarterback does need that.
Yeah.
And shout out to him getting his money. Shout out to him getting his money, and I don't blame him. That's it. Oh! Yeah. So thinking back at Stephon Diggs, yeah, that's another thing. That's why I love talking about that Swiss Army knife with Travis Hunter, because him going to New England,
I like that.
I like that because
I really like that.
I know. I like that because obviously pairing him up with Stephon Diggs, a veteran receiver,
Same type of guy.
bull with a young bull, a bull that's ready to rock and roll. Yeah. That's great. But then I like Travis Hunter because defense-wise, I feel like that's also can help out New England so much.
Oh man,
because he's a technician.
big time,
He's really good here,
big time,
just as good as he is athletically.
big time.
So I think that would just be great.
And he fits their culture.
Does
He fits that professionalism,
yes,
maturity. He fits that culture.
man, that would be nice though. Because you know another thing,
It's
I think New England, they spent so much money in free agency.
yeah,
So it lets me know they're trying to do something. They ain't trying to just lose next year.
right.
And so New England would probably be that team
Yeah.
that will let him play with Stephon Diggs
Yeah.
and play on defense both ways.
Yeah, come on.
They probably will legitimately let him do as much as he can
Oh, yeah.
until he taps out.
Well, you know, Mike Vrabel's a football player. He's a player. Mike
player's
Vrabel's a player's coach, man. And everybody who knows ball knows that we play both sides of the ball all the time. You know, I did. You play it coming up until you don't, right?
Yeah.
And guys who can still successfully do that in college, we all do it in high school for the most part.
Yeah.
Guys who can successfully do that in college, right, and then prove it to you. I feel like a football player will appreciate that enough to give it a shot. You're like, you know what? Let's see. If you got the gas, you might just be wired different.
Yeah.
And you might just have a different type of stamina and go in you, and you know what I mean, durability level. Hey, let's see what you got. Until you can't.
Nah, for real.
I like that. You're right.
Yeah. That would be really interesting, bro.
Hell yeah. What else we got? We got Cooper Kupp over there to Seattle. How you think him and Darnold do? I like it.
That's going to be a nice, good security blanket and maybe a resurrection for Cooper Kupp.
I think so too.
Yeah, because Sam Darnold, hey, he's like, okay, I got Cooper Kupp. I'm pretty sure he sees Cooper Kupp as his prime version in LA. You know what I mean?
100%.
And so when I see that, I'm like, you know what? Sam is going to be kind of like what I would think Jameis Winston would be to Malik Neighbors. He's going to be a certified gunslinger where Cooper Kupp mess around and get 1,200-1,300 yards receiving out there in Seattle.
But that's
with
it.
the receiving core they already got.
I mean, that's if Jameis.
That's just being real.
That's if Jameis is throwing the ball. That's if he's throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. So
Yeah.
you have
Do you use Russ as a tool? A bargaining tool in the draft?
the Giants.
Well,
It's a possibility.
you feel me? Anyhow,
The only thing that's tough about that,
Yeah.
the only thing that's tough about that, I don't think Russ had too many options of teams that actually wanted to sign him.
That's true.
That's the only thing I was looking. I was like, well, I was all like, the Steelers were already out, which something to talk about honestly, because I was thinking about the Steelers are already out, and so the Giants were the only team that was kind of knocking on the door. But I think he was waiting on them to officially knock on the door so he can open it. And so they finally went on ahead and pulled the trigger and came out with a quick one. But the reason why I brought up the Steelers real quick is because I was thinking, you know how we were talking about Shador?
Yep.
Now, what's funny about it is the Giants got two quarterbacks, two veteran quarterbacks. We both agreed, two experienced quarterbacks. Relatively a pretty good offense where if you have a commander-in-chief at quarterback, you can make some things happen. Okay, who's to say they may not possibly trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers for that number 3 pick? Because Pittsburgh ain't got no quarterback. I don't know if
What do you trade?
players like Jackson Dart will still be available. I feel like Jackson Dart's probably going to get picked up early, just like how Bo Nix did last year with Denver.
What pick is Pittsburgh?
I believe they are I want to say the 21st pick, because they still was like you see what I'm trying to say?
Damn.
They're like the 21st pick, and so I was looking, I was like, well,
They have to do their homework.
that could be that literally could be a starting quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm looking at also for Shador, that may be a good thing for him. Be with a better team, because he's been in a lot of teams where he's had to pretty much put teams on his back. And so if you're with a team that's led by Mike Tomlin, a team that understands where there's a will, there's a way. No matter what we look like, no matter how many injuries we have, there's a will, there's a way. AKA Mr. 500, Mr. We ain't going below 8-8 of a season. that may be the perfect
Talk
piece.
about it, man.
That may be the perfect piece that may be able to help them out. And you know what? I feel like somebody's going to do something funky in the draft, and I think it's only because the Giants did what I think no one else thought they would do, and that's get two experienced quarterbacks now, and don't even try to gamble in the draft. Because that's the thing. I was like, well, okay, the dog pound going to get Shedeur. Are we sure about that?
Are we sure?
Are we sure about that, bro?
Are we sure?
Because last time I checked, Myles Garrett ain't went nowhere. Last time I checked, Myles Garrett is staying in there, out there in Cleveland. So what I'm looking at is they may will be a fool to pass up on and Abdul Carter at number 2. That's kind of dangerous because if you got those two together, that may be something that's very, very special where they can still afford to possibly get a good quarterback going into either trading back in the first round,
Yeah,
or getting one trading up in the second round early,
yeah,
to snag their quarterback for the future. For example,
makes sense.
Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jalen Milroe. They went to visit him. They were talking about that. The Steelers went to visit Jalen Milroe.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
it is.
And I'll tell you one thing, the way that I'm about to say the way that division's set up, all those quarterbacks are just so good. You gotta have quarterbacks like that.
Yeah, you do. You really do.
I mean, unless you got a Joe Burrow, because you're gonna need a Lamar Jackson style quarterback or a Josh Allen style quarterback.
Yeah,
That's another thing.
that's true. So Cooper Kupp to Seattle. I like that, brother. I think it's a good move for Kupp. I think it's a good move for Darnold. Give Darnold a guy. I think Kupp got a lot of juice left. He's a hard worker.
Yeah.
You know, he's not one of those guys who's all talent. Like, he's a hard worker. He earned his. And I think for injuries for those guys, you can be confident. They're going to put the work in. That's what it all comes down to. He's going to do what's necessary. He's going to bounce back. I know he doesn't like what they did with how the Rams did him. He built that franchise.
They did.
He built that franchise out there in Los Angeles. Come on now. That's not how you do a guy. You know what I mean? That ain't how you can do a guy. So I think that's going to motivate him. It's going to fuel him to really go hard. I think they got another wide receiver out there. I forget his name, young guy. He caught a lot of balls for him last year outside of DK. I don't know if Tyler Lockett is still out there, to your point. We'll see. But I think it's a good spot for him. They got two good running backs, you know, and Charbonnet and then Kenneth Walker. They had a pretty good team. You know what I mean? I think Geno was in a good spot too, but good for Geno. He's down at the Raiders, so we'll see how that goes. Who else you got? You got who else went somewhere? Jameis, Russ, Kupp,
got
Stephon.
As far as big key players,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of players who've been traded teams, but
So,
key players right now.
well, where do you think that puts kind of Shedeur Sanders? I think we're all kind of, the media at least has it portrayed that number one sold up by Cam Ward. I can interchange Shedeur Cam in that pick. All right.
Me too. I think it all depends. I think they're gonna be saying a lot of different things whenever Shedeur has his pro day. I feel like once he has his pro day, I feel like also, because supposedly I think the Titans are also having a private workout with Shedeur too.
Okay.
You see, the thing is, it's easy to hype up stuff when you ain't seen them. See, Dion and company has done a phenomenal job keeping Shedeur very quiet.
Right.
You ain't been seeing too much footage of him doing too much outside of him and Cam throwing the ball. But it has been too much hype. He's saving it all for that pro day. I believe it's, early April
Yeah.
7th, something like that.
Yeah.
Once they see Shedeur throw to his receivers and watch how good he can throw that ball, watch how the narrative really changes.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it's kind of crazy. I can't believe I'm saying this, but going back to your point when you talk about the Giants, they mess around and could still end up getting someone like that because it's too good to pass up. Kind of like when I was talking about Atlanta with Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah.
It's just too good to pass up, and that may end up being one of them situations like that.
I mean, if you do that, you got now, as a coach, you got now and the future sold up. I mean, because you got Russ and you got Jameis on the discount. And Russ, you only got to pay him if he wins. You know what I mean? And then it's a win-win situation, and he earned the money. right? So he's on an earned money clause. Jameis is on he's on the buddy pass. It's all good, but that's good for him. You know what I mean? He got paid. I like that. So yeah, I think you do that. You got now and in the future. What about you think that you can see Tennessee or Cleveland making some noise, a splash move?
I can see. You know what? Babel, right?
Yeah.
That coach out there.
Yep.
He's one of those coaches that's bound to make splash moves.
Yep.
He could, but I feel like right now the team that needs to do it has to be Cleveland. Y'all are in a really good position to do a very dominant thing. That dominant thing is either A, getting you 2 Hall of Fame pass rushers to happen to be able to play with each other this year. That's one possibility. Or you can end up, that's another thing that's so dangerous. I think that clock going to be going off on draft night. It's going to be going off all the way to the end every single time because they're going to be looking at, man, we got a chance to get an Abdul Carter or a Travis Hunter. We can either have 2 players in 1 pick, or we can have a dominant Hall of Famer instantly his first year. So that's a very good position to be in, actually. What I think Cleveland will do, though, I think they're gonna give Deshaun. I think they're gonna give him one more chance.
Okay.
And the only reason why I feel like they're gonna do that is because of the fact that they paid him all that money.
Yeah.
And it's probably a pride thing. And so I feel like the biggest thing they may end up doing is probably getting a pass rusher and getting a quarterback later. That's what I feel like that. So when it comes to the splash, that'll probably end up being a splash. Now, Tennessee, no. Cleveland, no. Splash teams, I think, is going to go in between the Giants because they could possibly trade back. And I think I had this weird feeling somebody going to trade up and get Shador. I don't know why, but I had this keen feeling. That's like, it ain't gonna be the Jets. They got Justin Fields. And to your point about getting paid, I'm so glad he got paid. Let's just get that out the way. So glad, so that way he has a security blanket to have a chance.
Right.
So that's great for him. And as far as Jameis too. So I don't think it's gonna be them. It's not gonna be the Raiders because Geno is out there with his coach, Pete Carroll. That's a security blanket for the organization to make sure they at least win 8 to 10 games. Respect. So it ain't gonna be them. They're gonna probably get Ashton Genty anyway, which I don't blame them.
I would like that.
The Patriots, I can see the Patriots possibly trading, but I don't think it's gonna go no further between those 2 teams, and it's gonna end up being like a Dallas. Because you know what's crazy? Dallas is at number 12, and they haven't done nothing all off season. That may be for a reason.
It might be.
They haven't done nothing all off season. I didn't even know they was up that high. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, who's to say they may not trade with the Giants? Swap picks. The Giants ain't losing too much down the line.
Who do you give them?
They gonna get Shador.
Who do you give the Giants?
You say what
bullshit? You just give them some. I mean,
you have to give them a second round pick.
Picks, yeah.
Second round pick in the 2025.
And then, yeah.
In 2020, probably 2025, 26, and 27.
Makes sense.
You're gonna have to get two of those picks.
Yeah.
Would Dallas do it? I think they could. I think they would. But I think they would only because of the last name. But that would be the only team at Dallas. That would be the only player that they would actually trade up for. As far as the Cowboys, they would only trade up for someone like a Shador, just because they know later on down the line, when it comes to business in general and business revenue, Shador's jersey is going to be the number 1 selling jersey if it's in the Cowboys uniform.
Oh, yeah.
And that also would be a big possibility for Dion to go out there.
Oh, yeah.
If Shador gets picked up. And you know, Dallas is all about keeping it all in the family. That's why that running back that's still there, I think his dad is running back coach.
Yeah, why not?
And so, what does that mean? Shiloh.
He should always have a contract. Yeah.
Shiloh going to Dallas.
For sure.
And so, you want to talk about blockbuster trade. The only reason why I also bring all of this up is just because I have been seeing a few articles about what if Dallas is the one that's going to make the big splash move in the draft. That could honestly be a possibility.
They always make a splash. And I think that's why the fan base is so confused and uneasy right now, because we're like, Dallas has never just given up. They've been a win now team always. It just haven't always materialized. But every year they always try to assemble a pretty solid roster, and it just hasn't always panned out. And I think that kind of has led us to where we're at now. I think maybe the ownership is probably like, well, damn if we do, damn if we don't. And so now it's like we might as well just do whatever. You know what I mean? So they just hired, who they thought they wanted. They kept Dak. It's like, okay, what's the big deal? Maybe we get the same results or different ones. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I could totally see them making a splash because it's suitable for them too. And that's generally how they regain the confidence every year of their fan base to keep being the dominant brand. Because if you lose your fan base and people start not paying attention to you,
if it's going to be anything when it comes to getting, trading up, that would have to be the pick. Because like I said, I was thinking, well, it would probably cost Dallas too much if they was where Pittsburgh is. Probably would cost them too much, and they probably wouldn't do it. But being at the 12th pick, that's pretty sneaky.
That's pretty sneaky.
That's pretty sneaky.
They're in a sneaky spot, man. And I think that's one thing they was having barbershop talk the other day. And they were like, man, some of the Dallas fans, they're like, oh, man, we ain't doing nothing. And I said, well, yeah, I always do something. He was like, no, man, I'm done. Man, I'm going over here. I'm like, listen, Jerry always ropes the fans right back in. Yeah. It has the same thing happens every year. And everybody's mad. And it's a reason why everybody stays on that roller coaster. Because they always get you back. It's a roller coaster ride. It's like agony, but then it's excitement. And then agony and then excitement. And so that would be exciting. If they either did something with that 12th pick being so close, they have a lot of leveraging power. 20-something pick, all right, maybe you have to throw Dak or something in, something crazy. But with the 12th pick, you can kind of get away with just using that pick and maybe a couple other little things and maybe go get a really big splash move. Man, I didn't think about that. That's a great thought.
I would love
for you're onto something.
I appreciate it because this is what I was thinking. I would love for them to just continue to let the nerds still say what you want to say about Shedeur. Oh, Dallas, you want to pick him up? Oh, laugh all y'all want to. That's what the Dallas fan base would love.
Oh yeah. Oh please.
That's what we love. That way, a quarterback like that, who is a generational talent, I'll say it for him, and yes, he is legendary, will come up in there and he's going to make a big difference for that team because it's all about energy at the quarterback position and the head coach position. It's all about energy.
It is.
How that energy flows, that's what the team does.
Has to start there.
It is.
Has to start there.
Now, I'm not saying that I forgot who the head coach is now for Dallas right now. I'm not saying that he's going to be necessarily the energy generator, but I for sure feel like it would be a player like Shedeur. That'd be the actual generator. And then you ask yourself, okay, well, what would happen with Dak Prescott? Don't worry, I'm going to get there.
Good question.
I see a 3-team trade.
Okay.
Who's to say that it's a 3-team trade between a swap pick and a trade between the Steelers? Not the Steelers. Ooh. Did I say that?
Whoa.
I may have said that.
Okay.
I may have said that, but I'm not going to go there just yet. I was thinking Cleveland going ahead and grabbing Dak, okay? And then I can see Cleveland grabbing Dak, and then all of a sudden the Giants swapping with the Giants swapping with the Cowboys. But also, in order for Dak to be able to go to Cleveland, Cleveland has to give up a pick too to be able to get Dak. I'm pretty sure they're going to do that because they still see Dak as a high-value quarterback. I know they do. I know some of these teams do that need a quarterback now.
Oh, man.
And so sometimes I feel like teams look at Dallas like how they look like Cleveland. They think they're both dysfunctional. They think, well, maybe if we had a Dak here, the team would be better. Who knows? I just feel like no matter what it takes, I feel like that trade could possibly happen.
Yeah.
And also, we already know Cleveland will definitely pay Dak. That's going to get his money.
Yeah.
So that ain't going to be an issue either. But when I'm looking at business moves from making money perspective as well as winning games, I don't see how it does not make any sense.
Man, yeah, I can see Cowboys doing that. I can also see them doing that for Genty. I can see them moving up to try to get a Genty.
Yeah, I can see that.
Maybe, yeah, I can see them moving up to try to get a Genty. I don't know how it works, but I can see them making some moves. It's gonna be some splashes, man. I'm excited for the draft because, to your point, I really think it's unorthodox right now. Um, Other than the fact that we know the Titans need a quarterback, and if they pick up anybody else other than a quarterback, then I think they're going to leave their offense in the same position. Not taking anything off of the guys they got in the quarterback room right now. They got a young guy, I think Willis, I forget his name, but I think he kind of was inconsistent last season. They kept playing him and yanking him, playing him and yanking him. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a lot of random, last minute juggernaut moves, breaking news, type of deal, man. I think before it's all said and done going into the season, the Cowboys are going to have something done. I don't know what, but I think they're going to do something they always do. Interesting, man. It's crazy in the media right now. You got Stephen A. Smith, and LeBron James kind of getting into it. What's your thoughts on that? You think it's necessary, or you think it's just a distraction?
I think it's just a distraction. I feel like if anything, I feel like Stephen A. is making it more out than what it needs to be right now.
Sure.
I know he loves to talk about the GOAT debate between LeBron and Michael Jordan and tries to use that as an excuse as to why LeBron has beef with him right now. But it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with talking about his son. The level of saying how he doesn't deserve to be in the NBA, what he's doing as a father. I think that's what tipped him off, who was as a father.
Oh, yeah.
And so now it's completely outside of the realms of sports.
Right. Now you're talking about him as a father.
Now he's talking about family. Hence why I feel like that's how you can see why I'm about to say why Bronny's been doing so much better now. His confidence seems like it's gone up because now he's just like, you know what?
I'm free.
But yeah, I feel like Stephen A. he's just making a segment because one, this is bringing him more fans.
Yep.
This is bringing more business to ESPN. Yep. And I think he's just blowing up for no reason. But I was listening to LeBron talking on Pat McAfee's podcast.
Yeah.
And LeBron was all like, man, I know Stephen A. is just super glad that I'm even talking about him right now.
Right.
And that let me know right there, like, of course, like, he's right.
He is
right. He's right. Because you know what? Like, I love Stephen A. when it comes to a sports analysis, as far as, how he talks about things. He does keep it entertaining, but I just feel like it's this right here is just doing too much.
Yeah,
it's just doing too much.
I agree with you, man. I think it's doing too much. It's a little bit disappointing. I understand as a man you want to defend yourself, and if you get approached, then I understand how that goes. But also as you grow and mature, there has to be a level of accountability that you hold for yourself. And I understand sports media and kind of the landscape that we have these days, but there has to be a level of accountability on what comes out of your mouth. And if sometimes you take it a little too far, hey man, the way I was raised, you got consequences you got to handle for that. Yeah. As man, you do what you do, but you got to be willing to deal with those consequences. And Stephen A., if you said a little too much, or you want to stand 10 toes on everything you said because you feel like you create the reputation of I'm never going to back down on what I say, that's fine. Okay, but now when you make it personal, it's no longer professional. Don't be surprised when now you're engaged in a personal way. Yeah. Now, if you want to take it man to man, I'm not going to let somebody else talk about me personally like that. Especially all the different type of things that I felt like it's been unnecessary this whole time. Yeah. All right, so now if I step to you, okay, now we got to handle it like that. And if you're willing to deal with those consequences, cool. But all the extra yappity yap after the scenario, it's like, listen, man, it was all words at first. You made it personal. He approached you in a personal manner. You either did or didn't do what you was going to do right then. And if you're in a position to where it's not good for your brand to retaliate in an aggressive, angry way, then save all of that noise because you had the opportunity to do something aggressive if you're going to do it. And if not, now it just kind of looks unprofessional and it's a little disappointing, all this whoop ticket to how I would have done and what I should have done. Come on, man. Save all that, man. Hold yourself accountable. You said too much, you took it too far, and you know how it goes man to man. If you do that, hey, you got to own up to that one, man. Yeah, I know there's enough of that. I know there's a lot of respect for guys who don't know how to just you want to say what you want to say and everybody to deal with it. But when you take it too far, you don't want to own your shit. I lose respect for that. I lost a little respect for Stephen A. this past time. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I feel you.
I'm like, I don't deal with that.
Yeah, because I'm like, man, hey, clearly Bronny deserves to be in the NBA. you gotta also think he just came off a cardiac arrest. You know what I mean? That's something like I can imagine him probably breathing hard. He's just like, look, maybe I need to slow down my pace.
Talk about it.
Maybe I'm gonna be a little bit more passive.
Talk about
because like I'm not trying to have that going on.
Talk about it.
I gotta make sure I'm good. Now I'll make a few splash plays, but that's only for me. That ain't for y'all. That's for me to make sure I'm
confidence
good.
Back right here. I can do it, and I ain't fall down this time.
Right.
I didn't. This time.
Right. And so I think that's a big deal. And then also Stephen A. He done said several times he ain't even watch Bronny whenever he was in high school, let alone in USC.
So how can you talk about the young?
So really to be like, LeBron making it a big deal to have him and his son play in their first game together and national stage, that's the GOAT. What you talking about?
Are you kidding?
Think about his longevity and how many years that he's had to literally discipline himself to stay healthy.
What?
And to keep his mind right to even play the game of basketball, especially whenever you have critics that talk as much as they do, like Stephen A. And like majority of them that always talk and they criticize LeBron on every little detail because of how talented he is and they expect perfection out of him. And also, it's that plus he's also expecting perfection out of himself. So that's like a double load. That's a double load that's going on inside that I don't think they really understand. So to be able to like play with his son, that's literally a victory in his eyes to be able to play there. You know what I mean? It's like, how many other people get picks is dropping 25, 30 points in the G League? And being able to come into a game and it's starting to slowly but surely translate. And to top that off, call a stat what it is, but it's still Kobe Bryant, who's a Hall of Famer, who's arguably a top 10 player of all time. In my opinion, he's top 5, but that's just an opinion. So what I'm looking at is rookie Kobe had 5 assists in the game, but you know who else had 5 assists in the game as a Laker? Bronny. So all I'm looking at is you just don't know what kind of player you got in him, man. And he's just a baby right now.
Come on, and that's to even further cement the point of Stephen A. What are you doing? What you doing? At some point in time, when you have these takes come across your platform on how to talk about it, you have a choice in which how you want to express your opinion. And he's very adamant on defending his opinion, and I'm all about that. But at some point in time, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And true, like, sports lovers are looking like, it just don't make sense. It's not warranted. It's not warranted. We don't even want to hear you talking about this guy like this. Because nobody's looking at him like that. Give him time. He just got over a heart issue and thought, man, he might never ever play basketball again. Come on, man. You might have lost the boy. And the fact that he's here is a miracle, and the fact that he's still able to play basketball is even more impressive. At anything, we should be saying positive things about this kid, helping him get his confidence back, and it should definitely not be somebody coming from the same background and community. That's another thing that really, really just doesn't make sense to me, why he's so passionate about poking holes in a youngster as opposed to either leaving him alone or lifting him up. But I get it, sports, but hey, anyway.
It's amazing though, and I was thinking about. So I was thinking about with Bronny, he's dropping 39.
Yeah,
that's a big deal because you're still playing against grown men.
Grown men, and you still got the James name, so they ain't backing off you.
It would be funny because I was thinking at USC, if he would have been playing at USC, he'd probably been dropping about 20, 30 points, and they've been talking about how he could be possibly number 1 overall pick. Come on, man. If that doesn't blow people's mind, I don't know what will, because that's literally what it is. For real.
We literally at that point.
Like, dog.
Are you kidding me?
39 points that he scored the other day. I don't think people realize it. No hoopers, no. You gotta respect G League too.
Oh man, come on,
there's some hoopers in G League. Don't disrespect G League players like that.
That work.
There's a lot of talent there.